is carefully balanced. This is the gallery experience.
Gallery experience. How to display art. Episode 6. The problem with hanging paintings too high. Have you ever walked into a gallery and noticed that some paintings seem strangely difficult to look at? You stand in front of them. You tilt your head upward. You take a step backward. And somehow, the painting doesn't feel comfortable to view. Sometimes the problem isn't the painting. It is where the painting has been placed. One of the most common mistakes in displaying art is hanging artwork too high. Artists spend so much time thinking about the painting itself that they may forget something very simple. A painting is meant to be experienced by a human being, and human beings have eyes at a certain height. The position of the artwork can completely change the way we experience it. Imagine walking into a room where every painting is hanging noticeably above your natural line of sight. You have to look upward all the time. After a while, your body becomes uncomfortable. Your neck may feel strained. More importantly, the painting may begin to feel distant. It is no longer inviting you into the experience. It is sitting above you. This is especially noticeable with portraits. Imagine looking at a portrait of a person whose eyes are already near the top of the canvas. Now imagine hanging that portrait too high. The eyes of the painted person may be far above your own. The relationship between viewer and subject changes. Instead of feeling as though you are meeting another person, you may feel as though you are looking up at them. That may sometimes be intentional. But if it isn't intentional, it can weaken the painting. The same thing happens with figurative paintings. The human body has a natural relationship to our own body. When we see a standing figure at approximately our eye level, the experience can feel direct. We are meeting another human presence. But if the figure is placed too high, the relationship changes. The viewer becomes physically subordinate to the image. Again, this can sometimes be artistically meaningful, but usually it is simply the result of poor installation. So how do you decide the right height? There is no single perfect number for every gallery. The size of the artwork matters. The architecture matters. The type of exhibition matters. And the audience matters. But a useful starting point is to think about the viewer's eye level rather than the top or bottom of the frame. Instead of asking, how high should I hang this painting? Ask, where should the center of this painting meet the viewer's natural line of sight? That small change in thinking can make a big difference. For a group exhibition, consistency can also be important. If one painting is extremely high and the next is very low, the viewer's eyes constantly move up and down. The exhibition can feel unstable. A common visual line can create calm. This doesn't mean every painting must have exactly the same center point. Small paintings, large paintings, and special installations may require different treatment. But there should be a reason for the differences. Think about a row of portraits. If the eyes of every person in the paintings are approximately at the same level, something interesting happens. The painted people seem to be meeting the viewer. Their eyes create a visual conversation. Now, imagine one portrait hanging much higher than the others. The person in that painting suddenly seems disconnected. The arrangement feels less intentional. This is why installation is part of curating. The artwork doesn't end at the frame. The way it enters the room is part of the artwork's experience. There's another problem with hanging art too high. The viewer may not be able to see the work properly from a normal distance. If the gallery has a high ceiling, artists sometimes feel tempted to use the entire height of the wall. They see a large empty area above the paintings and think, we should fill that space. But not every empty space needs to be filled. The ceiling can remain high. The wall can remain open. The artwork can remain at a comfortable viewing height. Remember what we discussed in the previous episode. Empty space can be useful. A large wall doesn't mean the artwork has to occupy the entire wall. Sometimes the empty space above a painting gives it dignity. Another issue is furniture. If a painting is displayed above a sofa, table, bench, or other furniture, the height must be considered differently. The artwork needs to relate to the object beneath it. Too high, and the painting looks disconnected. Too low, and it can feel crowded. The same applies to artwork displayed in restaurants, hotels, offices, and homes. You aren't simply hanging a painting on a wall. You are placing it into an environment. The surrounding objects become part of the composition. This is particularly important when artists sell artwork for interior spaces. A painting that looks perfect in a gallery may look completely different above a sofa. The buyer needs to understand how the artwork will live in a real environment. This is why installation photographs can be so useful. Don't only photograph the artwork by itself. Show it properly installed in a room. Let the viewer understand its scale. Let them see the relationship between the artwork and the surrounding space. Now, let's talk about small paintings. Small paintings are sometimes hung too high because artists think they need to be positioned in the center of a large wall. But a small artwork placed too high can become difficult to notice. The viewer may walk right past it. If the painting is small, consider giving it enough surrounding space and placing it where the viewer can comfortably approach it. Sometimes several small paintings can also be grouped together. This creates a larger visual unit. Instead of making the viewer search for tiny objects across the wall, the group becomes a destination. And there is another important consideration. Children. If your exhibition is open to families, children experience artwork from a different height. A painting that looks perfect to an adult may be far above a child's natural viewing level. That doesn't mean every exhibition must be designed around children, but it is worth remembering that the gallery is an experience from one height. Different bodies experience the same room differently. The goal is to create an environment where people can comfortably engage with the artwork. Now, imagine an exhibition where every painting is positioned carefully. The portraits meet your eyes. The small paintings invite you closer. The large paintings give you room to step back. The installation feels calm. You may not consciously notice the height, and that's actually a sign that it is working. Good installation often becomes invisible. You don't think, this painting is at exactly the right height. You simply feel comfortable looking at it. That is the goal. So before opening your next exhibition, don't stand only in front of the paintings. Walk through the room. Stand where your visitors will stand. Look straight ahead. Look up. Look down. Ask yourself, can I comfortably see this painting? Does it feel connected to the viewer? Does it relate to the paintings around it? Does the height help the artwork? Or is the installation fighting against it? Because displaying art isn't simply about finding an empty wall and putting a nail into it. It is about creating a relationship between the artwork and the human body. The viewer has to stand somewhere. The eyes have to look somewhere. And the artwork has to meet the viewer at the right moment. Sometimes just a few inches can change the entire experience. A painting can feel distant, or intimate, important, or forgotten, inviting, or uncomfortable. The artwork may be exactly the same, only its position has changed. So remember, don't hang the painting for the wall. Hang it for the person who is going to stand in front of it. Because the best exhibition isn't the one where the paintings are simply attached to the walls. It is the one where the paintings seem to belong exactly where they are. This is the gallery experience.
Gallery experience. How to display art.